Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review. This is another paid request, this time for OtakuGaming HD. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, topics, reactions, re-reviews, randomness lists, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under the video. Now, this is for a film called SAS Red Notice. I think it's also called a different title on Netflix, which I don't have Netflix, but I read up on this. That because you had the other Ryan Reynolds, The Rock, Gal Gadot film, Red Notice, they kind of changed the name a little bit, but there's other places that does go SAS Red Notice. And I think he didn't mind the film. To me, I wasn't a fan of the movie. I mean, it's not the worst movie ever, but it would be a rant because I would never see the film again. I thought it was too long at 2 hours. I don't think they had enough material the last 2 hours. It just seemed like a very bland, boring version of Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. Just trying to be a Die-Hard type of scenario on a train. I think Under Siege 2 was just much more fun, much more entertaining, and the steepest... just the steepest fun. This, Tom Wilkinson, who's been in a lot of films, he was the bad guy in Rush Hour, at least you find out to be the bad guy. He's been in other stuff too. He is with his daughter, played by Ruby Rose, Batwoman herself, Ruby Rose, and they were with this private military company. They're trying to bring this gas pipeline through the village by any means necessary. So when they meet resistance, they clear it out, they kill a bunch. Even with flamethrower, kudos to the stunt people being in flames. Didn't really see digital work in that area. But a girl's recording it, able to get it out. Now those bad guys are on the run. Now, the people that hire them are higher up echelons of power, including the Prime Minister. Also, Andy Serkis. Yes, Andy Serkis, who was in Black Panther. Lord of the Rings. My precious. Andy Serkis. He's in this as a guy kind of hired by the Prime Minister to clean up the mess. So he gets together his SAS members. Most of them don't know what's going on, the real deal, of course. They're just doing their job. And our lead guy, I don't remember the lead guy's name, but I thought the lead guy was just fairly bland. I thought the lead guy kind of had a lack of personality, kind of in one ear, out the other. Maybe he's done other stuff that I liked, but the SAS operator, just not much to him. People are like, what? And Steven Seagal was? Back in the day, actually, yes. In that era of Above the Law, Out for Justice, even Under Siege 2, Steven Seagal was in shape, could still do his Aikido moves, and still had a sort of squinty-eyed presence that dissipated with his fucking weight gain and his lack of give-a-shitness, and his direct-to-video curmudgeon of cretinous bullshit, to be quite frank. But in his heyday, he did have a presence and a bit of star power. That's why he got a series of successful films in his early heyday. And the films were entertaining as well. That helps. Here, the hero is as bland as the story. There's this girl who's a doctor. They want to go on this trip on a train, Eurotunnel, because the guy wants to secretly propose when at the destination. Ruby Rose and her cohorts stop the train. Because I forgot to mention, we had a scene earlier where Andy Serkis has these operatives go in to capture some of the bad guys, including Tom Wilkinson. And unbeknownst to our lead, Andy Serkis shoots Tom Wilkinson in the face to clean up the mess. So Ruby Rose wants a bit of revenge, as well as to fuck over Andy Serkis and the Prime Minister and the people that hired her and her folks in the first place. Ruby Rose was miscast in this. I'm sorry. I liked her in John Wick 2, but John Wick 2, she had a supporting role. She had no dialogue. She didn't talk. That was a plus. And she wasn't the main villain. She was someone who's there, has a brief fight with John Wick, and John Wick takes her out pretty damn well. In a good location, like a tunnel with mirrors around. She was... The way you use her was used well in John Wick Chapter 2. I've seen clips of Batwoman. It looks like a happy helping of horseshit. And blows dogs for quarters. Fuck Batwoman. She seems... Same in this mannequin style, or just trying to... She just doesn't have the personality, especially for your villain, and then gets in this fight at the end. I mean, no, she's like maybe a henchwoman that, again, John Wick takes down a minute and a half at most. Here, to make her like this big physical threat when she's like 4 feet tall and weighs 85 pounds. Again, her acting, I've seen worse, but I mean, I would put her better than Megan Fox, I guess, but she's in that direction still. She is going more in that direction of Megan Fox. Just, I don't think she's that talented of an actor. She just doesn't have the... She definitely doesn't have the personality to fit in this format. At least not to me. So Ruby Rose... I don't know. And at times you do get some poor effects. Like the wide shots of the train going through the countryside before the takeover. There's some explosions, especially the finale, where it's fairly poor CGI. Not as bad as Derailed with Jean-Claude Van Damme, but I mean, not that good. It's predictable at times. You know there's going to be a mole. And when they say there's a mole, I'm like, okay, it's the lead guy's buddy. Yep, it becomes the lead guy's buddy. And the action scenes are rather lame. I mean, the action scenes don't really carry the film at all. This is just like a very low-end Under Siege 2 Dark Territory. He tries to get his lady out, but the lady wants to stay because she's a doctor and she wants to help the people that are hurt. Helps just this little girl out. He'll be either above the train or under the train and get like a little fisticuff. But it's not even much of a fight. It's like, or choke someone, or it's very blasé, below by the numbers type of action. I mean, I can't think of an action scene that made me go, whoa, or cool, or okay. I mean, if you want to see here's the thing, people go, well, it wasn't some $80 million movie theater quality production. There are direct-to-video die-hard scenarios that have worked well. Final Score, but with Batista. You want to see that? A die-hard type of scenario that could be done in a direct-to-video film? And that has some iffy CGI as well. But Dave Bautista is a lot more effective as a lead in that than this guy is. This guy just came off as bland. Dave Bautista actually did a good job in Final Score. That was a die-hard type of scenario, but it was at a soccer game, as most people would call football. But for us Americans, we call it soccer. And the action scenes felt better handled in terms of environment, in terms of variety, compared to this. To go over here, this film here. Daily Outbreak. Daily Outbreak with Jesse Speedman. Right here. That's a better way to handle it. Much better way. That was direct-to-video. And that has a lot of going for it for a direct-to-video film. With fisticuffs and action sequences and chase sequences. For a direct-to-video film, that's fairly efficient. And there's other... Even Dean Cain was in this film called Christmas Rush, also known as Breakaway, where it was in a mall during the Christmas time. It was like made for cable, made for TV. So there are flaws, but Dean Cain in that film offered more than this. This to me just felt very bland. And at 2 hours long, it felt too long. It felt like 30 minutes could be edited out and truncated. And like he's going around and it's like, okay, he's either above the train or below the train. It should be fucking easy enough to find. In Under Siege 2, at least the train was in motion, and there's time where Seagal had to get off the train and try to get back onto the train. And here it's like, boom, they're trapped, and again, the action scenes, the deaths, were not much to run home about. To the point I've already forgotten most of them. Spoiler alert, he kills some of them. Ruby Rose and some sneak out in a secret escape route while the others have a bunch of hostages. Those bad guys get taken out by snipers. They think they got Ruby Rose, but they didn't. The guy who's the mole. There's this really awkward looking shot where there's this explosion and like it looked like a helicopter landed on him and Andy Serkis and where they were at, but yet they were fine. They were hurt, but they both lived and were fine. I'm like, no, they're fucking dead. The way the shot is with that, I imagine like a helicopter's right here. I'm like, but they're fine. I mean, they'd be missing arms and legs and elbows and assholes, but they're fine. I mean, when I say fine, like they're hurt, but they're not, too hurt. Did you have the lead chases the bad guys because they have his girlfriend as a hostage? He chases after Ruby Rose. They're in like the woods. They have like a very meh fight. Shady too. I mean shady. Like this is the fight. Like this is the fight. I think it did that because it knows Ruby Rose is not as efficient of a fighter. The stuff I've heard about Batwoman, that's fairly the case. Although with Batwoman, they probably have a lot of fight doubles in that costume. Like, Ruby Rose, stop. Bring in the double. Bring in the fight double. That's probably it. So. And, I don't know, like, Ruby Rose, like, again, I look at, like, behavior she has online. Just doesn't seem like my cup of tea as a person. But again, bland hero, ho-hum story. You've seen plenty of these die-hard scenario films many times if you're someone like me. It doesn't really do anything that unique or different to set itself apart. The action scenes are below mediocre or a few times filled with poor CG explosions. Fight scenes, there's really nothing that are long enough to make an impact. The closest, I guess, again, is the fight at the end in the woods, and you still have shaky cam, and I think that's the high that Ruby Rose can't do shit. Okay, spoiler, I like that they're kind of talking, they're both hurt in this truck, and then the guy stabs her in the neck. Ruby Rose right in the neck. So I guess if you want to see Ruby Rose play a character that gets fucking stabbed in the neck, here's your movie. Like, the music didn't really grab me. Like, nothing really grabbed me in this film. I mean, Again, I could name you Dolph Lundgren did a film called The Defender. It's not a dire type of film, but it's a siege movie where he's got to protect someone, and he's part of a team, and people come out of the woodwork. That's like a siege. Not as good as Assault on Precinct 13, but in that's trying to be again a siege movie. But The Defender is a decent film with Dolph Lundgren. Hell, he did a command performance where Dolph Lundgren is a rock and roll drummer. Dying is easy. Rock and roll, that's hard. He kills someone with fucking drumsticks into the neck. That's a fun movie. That's an entertaining film. Again, does it have flaws? Sure. But I would much rather watch Command Performance with Dolph Lundgren and these other movies I mentioned than this film. And you know what? I hate to say it. I'd rather watch The Red Notice with The Rock and Ryan Reynolds. And I don't even much like that film. But I would rather watch that than this. Because that... I mean, that's not that good either, honestly. It wasn't that good of a film, but... Ryan Reynolds still has a star presence I can enjoy, even in lesser efforts. I don't like Blade Trinity, but Ryan Reynolds gets a smirk now and again in that film from me. This, if he had a better lead, or a lead with more personality, or a film itself with more personality, or more fun, or more excitement, or better crafted action scenes, or very forgettable affair, in my opinion. Very forgettable affair. If you disagree, to each their own. Feel free to leave either comments down below. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.